All right, aloha friends. It's Brian Goss with GM Sports Media again, and this is another episode of Game Time with the Goss, powered by Grey Wolf Promotions. Today's guest, very excited. It's Matt Diggs, the professor, Professor Diggs, Inside High School Sports DFW Insider, and you can catch him with Inside High School Sports every Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And make sure you follow him on X for his most famous dump after Friday Night Football and get his thoughts. And make sure you give him a follow. Professor Diggs, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I know I'm on the big time now. You listed my accolades, but here I am with the DFW Premier Sports Guy with Gossett. Man, I'm happy to be here, and you're here to pick my brain, but I'm also here to pick your brain, Gossett. So you better be prepared for a Diggs attack because you know that's the way I roll.
All right, love it. Bring it on, baby. Again, we're all excited. It's week one of the Texas high school football season. I saw some of the games that you're going out to cover. Let's kind of dive right into it and talk about the matchups. We'll start with Thursday night. You got a really good one with Forney and Lake Highlands. You know, a game where the score was very close last season when they played. Just talk about what you're looking forward to from both teams.
Yeah, this was an unexpectedly incredible game last year because we thought Forney was going to use this game to come out of its shell, come into the 6A. It was their first game in 6A and kind of make a statement. But it was actually Lake Highlands that made a statement in a very competitive loss that they were going to be a force, and they ended up winning the district. I think when I think of this game, Lake Highlands last year, they lost to both Flower Mound and Forney in non-district, and they still won their district. For Forney, I feel like this game is desperation. That district they're in, Brian, is tough. I mean, you got Longview, North Forney, the two Rockwall schools, and a very under the radar, but a team I think we're going to be talking about this season, Royce City, with like 7 or 8 D1 sophomores that were all on the freshman team last year and won that district. We're going to have to see how those sophomores work out. So Forney, I feel like, has to be programmed to come into this game at a high level, whereas Lake Highlands, I think they can ease into things more. And I think Coach Fleener is going to be coaching with that desperation. I think he's going to be really speaking to his team and saying, look, we have no games off. Every game we have to be at a high level. We got Waxahachie coming up. We got to play Lake Highlands right now. These are all highly rated area teams. That's before we even get to our district. I think Forney has to win this game. If Forney doesn't win this game, I think it's going to be a sign that they're not even going to make the playoffs. Lake Highlands could win district either way, but Forney, this is their opportunity. I mean, you got stars in this game. We released a top five on our social medias, our top five running backs, and two of our top three are in this game with Christian Rhodes and Javian Osborne. So it's going to be a fun game. If you like stars, you're going to have that. If you like line play, you're going to have that in this game. Lake Highlands is really buoyed by their strong linebacker core. But man, if their linebackers are having to make tackles on Javian Osborne, he's 8 to 10 yards out already. So I think we're going to see a lot big numbers in this game. I think it's going to be a shootout. But give me Forney. I think it's a little bit of an upset, especially at Lake Highlands. But I think it is going to be a Forney win.
Awesome. We're gonna come back to Friday night, but Saturday I see you're gonna watch Plano and Odessa Permian at the Star. Just talk about that matchup.
And that's going to be, I mean, we're talking about two storied powerhouses who've kind of fallen on some hard times lately. I think in the 80s, an Odessa Permian Plano game would have a much greater appeal than the 2025 season, but it's still going to be fun. What I look for in this game last year, if my brain serves me right, I think Permian won 10-0, and Plano just couldn't get anything going. And I think a big function of that was that game was in Permian. Plano is kind of used to a raucous crowd, a raucous environment, and it's hard to get a crowd on a Friday early preseason in a game that doesn't really mean anything to travel out to Odessa and pack the stands. But at the Star, they're going to pack the stands, Brian, and I think we're going to have a Plano atmosphere. It's going to look like an A&M atmosphere because when you get those Plano alums out there, it's going to be full, and I think that momentum is going to carry Plano to a win over Permian. I think Permian is going to have that malaise that they didn't have last year because again, it's a long drive and it's going to be on TV, so I think Permian fans are disincentivized from actually coming out here, whereas Plano is going to bring the city. as it were. Especially you'll see this East alum there, but you'll see a lot. I think you'll see some East and West fans and players kind of scouting everything out as well. So it's going to be a very pro Plano atmosphere. And you know, Brian, when the Star is packed, it is loud, and I think that's going to be some momentum for Plano. I like Plano in a close one.
Awesome. Yeah, the field's kind of tight there with all the walls, and so yeah, you make some noise and it just kind of spreads across, and so that might be a lot for Permian. Yeah, you're a very proud Plano East alum, and you they take on the Royce City Bulldogs as you kind of mentioned before with all the players they're bringing back. But really, what do you want to see from Plano East this week on Friday against Royce City? And overall, what's your takeaway with the Panthers this year?
I really don't know what I'm going to see with Plano East this week, just because we don't know what we're going to see in Royce City. Last year, Royce City's freshman team thumped Plano East pretty good. I think it was like 57-0. I mean, that's how good their freshmen were, and their freshmen beat Longview, North Fork. I mean, all of them down the road. So it's one of those questions, and we got to play with this last year in some ways when we got to see Anna versus Gunner and Salina versus Gunner. What would happen if a state championship small school team played a bigger school state championship contender, and we saw that Anna and Salina took care of Gunner pretty handily. So what's going to happen when you have an all-star team of sophomores who are going to play one of the biggest 6A schools in the state? I don't know the answer to that, just because these are unproven varsity commodities right now. I'm not going to put too much stock in this game, whether it's good or it's bad. I'm going to be looking for quarterback play. I'm going to be looking for line play with Plano East. And next week they play a very talented North Forney team. Again, they're going to be a bit of an underdog in that game. But then district starts, and they got to start out with district. The district's kind of favorable to get started. They start out with Princeton and Plano West on the top half of the district, so those are winnable games for them. But I'm looking for with Plano East this year, can they take next steps? Can they go to that next level? The last 2 years they've been over 500. One year was a playoff year. Last year they were 6-4 and didn't make the playoffs. Can they continue that 6 wins, 7 wins this year? It's going to be hard to get a playoff win because they're going to be looking at either Louisville or Coppell in the first round. But at the same time, this is where I'm throwing you a question, Gossett. I'm looking for the Plano East volleyball team to continue to take those next steps. I understand we have a pretty good volleyball team this year, but you also are in that region with Byron Nelson and Allen and Keller. So, what do you see from the Plano East volleyball team? Can I expect them to be taking a next step this year?
Yeah, I mean, with Coach Perez, she's done a great job the last few seasons. They still have their top hitter and Simone Hurd, who's committed to Georgia Tech. She was among the DFW leaders in kills last year. Big kid. That's one of the toughest districts around in any sport, really, with the Allens, who, Allen's going to be tough out because they went to the state semifinals and they pretty much brought a lot back. Then you can't count out, Plano West. Plano East last year finished second, only a game back of the district title. It's kind of funny because I can remember Plano West, they were in the D2 bracket, and I think they have like the third largest enrollment size in the state because Allen and Plano East are in the same district. So yeah, I think Plano East can take that next step. Again, they would be in D1. Odds are Byron Nelson, they will be D2 again, so you don't really have to face them. I do think D1 is D2 is the more tougher bracket, and so in terms of state semifinals, man, it's obviously you got to stay healthy, and if Simone Hurd goes, then you go. So. I don't know if I can say they'll go to the state semis, but I can count them for, as long as they can get that first round win, because obviously that matchup, as you know, in every sport is like unfair because you're taking out, kind of a favorite. So if they can get past that, they can definitely get to the regional semis or more.
Yeah, I'm excited about them. They lost in 5 sets to Allen in district play because got that 9-team district. They start that out early, but that was at Allen, so it kind of gives me a little bit of hope that at Plano East and at a neutral site, maybe they can go 5 sets and knock off a team like Allen. I know they just lost in the Allen tournament to Keller, which is a team that's always right up there as
Always
well. So
good.
that Region One is a gauntlet, but it's kind of weird because last year they because I think they won a playoff game or a play-in game against Allen. They had to do a seeding thing to where they got a little bit of a higher seed over Allen, and that actually I think hurt them because they had to play a Keller earlier. Whereas
Earlier, yeah.
so if Allen wins district, Plano East gets second, they might actually have an easier chance to get to the fourth round than because you don't have to play whatever team comes out of that District Four in Division One. So I'm excited about the Panthers. I've had a chance to watch a couple of their playoff games, and volleyball is fun. Brian, I know why you are so passionate about it because it is a crazy atmosphere when you get two teams out there that can really hit and just go at each other. I mean, it is nonstop action.
Yeah, I mean volleyball is one of the more exciting because you get a point every play, you know. I mean football's exciting, but sometimes you got to wait a while for a score too. So yeah, very excited and yeah, we wish Plano East the best of luck there, and I'll make sure to cover them and get out to a game. I'm talking with Matt Diggs with Inside High School Sports. I want to stick with week one. There's a lot of great matchups. Just kind of I know you'll be looking at them while you're watching Plano East on Friday night, but what are some of the other games that have caught your eye this week?
Yeah, for me in week one, the one things I'm really looking forward to is what you got coming back, who's going to be playing, because there's so many questions about that. And, North Crowley, the defending state champion, they have a lot of unknown knowns, is what I refer to it in the podcast this week. That, you got to expect them to be pretty good. They're the defending state champion, but they got some people, they got some positions, especially the quarterback position, that we just don't know what we're going to get. We expect good things out of it, but what is actually going to happen when the lights come on? And Thursday night against Lancaster, I think we're going to get a little bit of insight into that. A lot of people are excited about Trinity this year, so getting them to watch them play Houston Street Jesuit, I think we'll see how good they're going to be this year. A lot of questions about Coppell. Coppell had one of the best teams in the state last year. They're probably North Crowley's most competitive game other than Duncanville in their playoff run, but they graduate just about everybody. I want to see what Coppell has coming back. Saxe is a winnable game, but style points. I want to see how the new quarterback does. I want to see kind of how their infrastructure is. So that's going to be some big questions. You got a team that we've talked about quite a bit on social media. I know our friend Marley is really excited about Richardson this year, and Richardson is a team I think can take a step forward. So how do they do against Lakeview Centennial? I want to kind of dig into that. And speaking of 7-6A, we know very little about Jesuit. So what's Jesuit going to do? We know very little about Richardson Pierce. What is their senior leadership going to look like? So there are some really interesting stories in 6A, and then you got some really good cross battle games in 5A versus 6A. You got North Shore versus South Oak Cliff. You got Midlothian versus Cedar Hill. These are just a lot of games where there's, you think you know what's going to happen, but what is actually going to happen on Friday nights and who is going to step out of the shadows. I remember last year, Prosper Walnut Grove came out of nowhere, and there's always a team that does that. So I'm going to be digging into the box scores, trying to figure some of those things out. And last year, Saginaw was one of those really out of nowhere stories. How are they going to do? Brewer is expected this week to be a little bit of a favorite over Saginaw, despite the fact that Saginaw was 11-0 before they lost in the playoffs last year. So digging into that. Lone Star versus Argyle is one of those games that is going to be an all-star game because you know what they've got coming back in Carice Hoyd and Gasperson. So that's going to be a very fun game. Week one is always fun because you not only have the main event games because of the non-district scheduling, but you get to find out a lot about a lot of teams as well.
Yeah, you can watch Lone Star and Argyle on WFAA. Shout out to Mike Leslie and Heckma Harrison. Tune in there. Just to list a couple of state champions from last year: North Crowley, Austin Vandergriff, Richmond Randall, Smithton Valley, Cartridge, Salina, Gunner. Just if you could pick one today, who do you like to repeat and why?
If I had to pick one of those things, I think Salina has the best chance, and I don't actually think they're going to win the state championship. I just think they have the best chance of those teams, just because they got so much coming back. And when you've got the best player on the field, and Bo Bentley is generally the best player on the field whenever he plays, especially in 4A, you always have a chance. And I know a lot of people are looking at the state semifinals already because Canyon West Plains and Salina played a banger of a game last year, and Canyon West Plains brings back everybody. It's a brand new school out in West Texas, and I know they've got that game circled. I know a debate on some of the statewide forums. I think Matt Stepp actually has Canyon West Plains winning that game, but that is going to be an absolutely fantastic game. But other than that, and then Panther Creek, and that's in their district, so they may have to overcome Panther Creek twice. Salina is just heads and shoulders above everybody they're going to play, except for those two teams. So those are their only two obstacles. Whereas North Crowley has to go through a gauntlet. They got to get through a Duncanville. They got to get through in their own district. There's a chance that South Lake even goes D1. So can they get past South Lake? You talked about that with Byron, and in volleyball, if they go D1, D2, South Lake is in that same position. So there are a lot more obstacles. Then you got Allen, and so there are things that North Crowley has to get through to make it to the state championship. And if they make it there, they're going to be looking at a really good team like a North Shore in the championship game if they make it there. Salina, I think, would be a favorite in the state championship. They just got to get there. They got to get past Panther Creek and West Plains. So I like them as the most likely to be a state champion out of those teams. Gunner loses their coach. I think they're going to really struggle this year. And a lot of people have South Lake as kind of the de facto Division II state champion if they end up going Division II. So that's going to be something we're going to be looking at in 4-6A every single week. Not only are we going to be looking at the top of the district with Byron, Nelson, Trinity, and South Lake, but who's going to get into that fourth spot, and is it going to create chaos with the districting, the D1s and the D2s?
You kind of mentioned Walnut Grove or Saginaw, but every year someone kind of surprises us. They don't really have to win state or even go to state. Maybe they win a couple playoff games, they get an upset, or they contend for a district title. But who's one or two teams, dark horse teams that can really shock us this year?
So we mentioned a little bit earlier. Some people have said Richardson as a team. I think they need to take two steps for me to be a dark horse. I think they're going to take one step. I'm high on Richardson. I just don't think they're ready to take that next step quite yet. It's not really a dark horse, but the team I'm excited about this year is Melissa. I mean, this is a team that didn't make the playoffs last year, and they very well should have made the playoffs. This year, they're going to be coming back with a chip on their shoulder. It wouldn't surprise me to see Melissa win district. And this is a team that in that 5A Division 2, that if you can make it there, Argyle is really your biggest obstacle if you can get past your own district. So you could see Melissa not only get there, but maybe even make it to the state semifinals. So those are two teams to keep an eye on. There's going to be some fun team surprises out of nowhere. I think another team that I'm excited about in your area is Eagle Mountain. I think Eagle Mountain could take a next step, and I don't know if they can compete with Brock and Graham, but I think they can overcome Mineral Wells. And if they can get in that third spot, they could make a playoff run, maybe go 2-3 deep.
Awesome. Well, I'll let you get on out on this
But
because
I don't want to. Brian, you let me get out of this. Come on. I could goss time all day, but I understand. I understand. We have production value. We have sponsors. They didn't sponsor 3 hours. So
yeah, we can make this all day long and love it. Just all your knowledge. But I'll let you get on this. Just give you the red carpet again. I mentioned it earlier, but I'll let you talk about it. Just what's coming up for you, what some new things you're working on, and where can we find you on social media?
I'm excited about one thing I've been working on. It's my new presence on Instagram, which is also at Professor Diggs, and I'm going to be trying to do some new things there with pictures and images and graphics and videos, and using a little bit of AI and using my creative wife to kind of come up with some ideas when it comes to that. I get to start with Neil Beasley on the warm up every week on Inside High School Sports social media, so I'm excited about that. Friday night, we're starting a Friday night DFW area scoreboard show. It's going to be at 11:30 on all the Inside High School Sports medias right before the dump at midnight. You're just going to have nonstop tweets just like you and the rest of the GM Sports crew every single week, all day, every day, 7 days a week. So you can check all those out. I'm at Professor Diggs on Twitter X, and I'm also at Professor Diggs on Instagram. Who knows? Maybe one day there'll be a TikTok.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen some moves in the past in the press box, so there you go. And let's not forget the pick'ems.
Yeah, you can check out the GM Sports Pick'ems because if you want to know who the reigning and defending champion is, I call myself the forever champion now.
Yeah,
I'm going for my fifth straight championship this year. I'm running your pickers out. They don't even want to be part of it anymore. They're like, I hate Diggs. I'm tired of this. Won't call out any names, but we miss you.
awesome. Yeah, we'll be coming after you. We'll see if this is the year.
Boy, I worry about Lauber. That's the one that can get me every year. That's a
Yeah,
smart guy.
yeah. Robert does his homework well. Well, Professor Diggs, Matt, we appreciate the time. Again, you can catch him week one. We're going to start Thursday night. He'll be watching Forney and Lake Highlands. But Professor Diggs, appreciate the time and looking forward to catching up with you down the road.
Thanks for having me. And I'll give you a little shaka to end the thing.
All right, that's another episode of Game Time with the Goss, powered by Grey Wolf Promotions. I'm Brian Goss with GM Sports Media. Enjoy week one of football season, and until next time, take care.